We start the hour with more from Terry McLaurin. We open the show hearing from Terry, so if you want to listen to that, rewind on the Odyssey app or check out the podcast after the show. But one thing that we didn't hear about earlier from McLaurin, as the Commanders have opened phase 1 of OTAs and they are allowing players to speak for the first time, really, since all the Dan Quinn changeover happened and everything that Dan brought with him, coaches, new players, etc. One thing that we haven't heard from anybody that was on the team last year that remains is their thoughts on the Sam Howell trade. Terry McLaurin addressed that amongst other things today, and we'll get to certainly the other things in a moment, but wanted to hear what he had to say.
It's always tough seeing like someone you build a really good relationship with go on and move on in their career, and especially your quarterback, because as a receiver, you want to continue to try to build that chemistry. You know what I mean? That was only our first year playing with one another, and I feel like him and I had we made some great plays and we had some, room for growth. And I think that comes with any new quarterback receiver relationship. And so, but to see him go in a situation where we have a chance to compete and play under a really good quarterback in Geno, I think he'll really like playing with receivers like, throwing the receivers like Lockett and Jackson Smith and Jigba and DK, you know what I mean? So I think he's going in a situation where he'll have a chance to continue to show that he can play quarterback at a high level in this league, which I still truly believe in. We know this is a business, and, I think hopefully things work out for both sides. But I always have a lot of respect for Sam, how he handled things good and bad last year. And, I think he took a really big step in his career to continue to prove that he can play at a high level.
So, obviously, some air of, I think that's natural, right? It's not, I don't want to call it disappointment, but you always want to know, right? If you're like, man, I think we could have been good. You want to find out in a professional setting. But also, as Terry said, this could certainly work out for both sides, where Sam can go ultimately relieve Geno. I mean, Geno's cap number next year is very large, and he'll be 35 years old. So there's a great chance that if Sam shows himself really well, say he gets a couple of starts this year, that he becomes the guy in Seattle next year. They, at the very least, has a chance to compete for the job a year from now. Or if Geno gets hurt and Sam comes in and kills it, then maybe he is the guy moving forward in Seattle. But on the Washington side, it'll be McLaurin and company with presumably a rookie quarterback leading the way. Here is what Terry had to say about that proposition.
Yeah, I haven't really looked at them too closely. I think where we're at in the draft, obviously we'll get the chance if they choose quarterback, we'll get one of the elite guys. So I'm just looking forward to whoever they bring in, kind of help bringing them along. Going into my 6th year, I kind of know the lay of the land and everything, and anything that I can do to help them become acclimated and be a part of our team, I'm going to try to do that. So obviously I don't know, they don't ask me, but my job is when they get here to kind of help bring them along as much as I can, because, we'll go as far as the quarterback goes.
Hey, I'm open. Throw it to me. That's Terry McLaurin's job. Sam Cosmi's job, block and more. Protect is probably even a better word for it. Sam Cosmi also speaking today on what he and his mates along the O-line can do to help a rookie quarterback.
We as a line have to definitely help him in the learning process for sure. Taking stuff off of his plate, being able to communicate with him, and it's a whole new thing for him with everything. So as much as we can help him, not only protect him, but like I said, mentally, that's going to be part of our jobs this year for sure.
Obviously, plenty of new additions on the O-line, both coaching staff and for the players. We know Nick Allegretti, Tyler Biadasz will be on that interior of the offensive line with Sam Cosmi. Here was the Commanders' best offensive lineman talking about his newest mates.
I know they're very aggressive, very hard workers, just from the tape and being able to watch them. I'm excited to play next to those guys. I think we're building something special, especially on the O-line. So bringing those guys, I think, are going to be very key parts to having a very successful O-line. So I'm very excited to play next to them, and just being around them in the building. I mean, great guys, great character already, I can tell. Like I said, I'm very excited.
I know from Allegretti's side of it, he was one of Travis Kelce's favorite teammates out in Kansas City. Obviously, Andrew Wiley knows him, so there's some familiarity there already within the O-line room. Nice to be able to walk into a room and be like, oh, hey, buddy, I know you. Biotish obviously doesn't quite have that, although he recognizes Dan Quinn from across the building there in Dallas and some former guys that he mashed helmets against along that defensive line, namely Dorrance Armstrong. But on the offensive line side of it, Bobby Johnson was the O-line coach hired. You probably remember that because you were probably mad about it. A guy whose resume is confounding in some ways to be a part of such a staff that's got such a good resumes elsewhere. Not that Johnson hasn't had some good years, but last in New York, where it did not go well with the Giants remotely the last couple of years, and they've had even some high picks that haven't really panned out. Also, some guys that outside of injury, and that's talking about Andrew Thomas, have. So what are Cosmi's first impressions of his new O-line coach?
Yeah, I mean, his biggest emphasis is the fact of like open communication. We're all working towards one goal, and that's being one of the best O-line in the league. And, doing that, being communicative towards one another when it comes to, hey, what do you see in practice? What do you see this, that, and the other, what calls. It's a very open channel when it comes to communicating. And I thoroughly enjoy that, and the fact that, we can, say our opinions when it comes to looks and certain things that we see. Obviously, he's the coach. He's going to make the final say. But just being able to have that is huge.
That's a hard balance to strike, but hopefully they can get it. And they've got a bunch of guys that have played a bunch of ball. We'll obviously see who winds up playing left tackle, but Wiley's played a ton of ball at right tackle. Biotish at this point has seen a lot at center. Cosmi at this point has got some decent experience at right guard. And then Allegretti has been a backup recently, but has played a decent amount of ball. And they've got some other guys that are vets along that O-line. So getting some different input is obviously nice. Your coach has to make it all cohesive. Your OC has to work with the rest of the scheme and how all that goes together. But that's obviously encouraging to hear. Meanwhile, on the defensive side, Daron Payne's going to have some new guys to one side of him. He'll have John Allen predominantly to the other, so that'll be the same. But lots of new edge players coming in. Daron Payne discussing that in his first media session of 2024.
Man, we got a bunch of change in. Like right now, I share lockers next to Bobby Wagner, so that's a real big name for us, a big linebacker. It's gonna be fun, man. We got some good edge guys, some guys that can get after the quarterback. So I'm excited to see what the coaches can bring for us and like the schemes and stuff.
Part of that scheme probably going to be moving Payne around quite a bit. He's a versatile piece, and some of that might not even be visible to the average fan down in, down out, unless you really pay attention to it. Is he moving to a one technique and a three technique? Is he a shade? Is he playing heads up on the center sometimes as a nose tackle? But also, some of it might be. Do they move him outside a little bit? It's something Daron, because of his incredibly quick hands and quick feet, is capable of, even at his size. So is that something that he's interested in, being moved around the defensive line?
I mean, we got some DNs that can get the job done. I feel like I played, when Chase and them left, I played a little DN. That was new to me, man. I played D tackle my whole life, and they threw me out there in DN. I made a couple plays out there, so I'm open to anything, bro. I just love playing D-line.
There you go. That Ant is a D lineman's attitude. Just let me put my helmet on, line up across from someone, and smash my face into them, hopefully in a way that removes them as a barrier to going to tackle a man with the football.
Hey, you got to be able to do that if you down there in them trenches, man.
Daron Payne, John Allen, about that life.
About it.
That is the John Allen, Daron Payne mantra.
Are you about that life?
In that particular way? No, I think I'm more of a guy who's on the perimeter.
Okay, that's fair. Me too.
I'm
right there with you.
It's not so much a mentality. It's more of a body type thing.
Yeah.
I'm not built. I'm bigger than people think I am.
Yeah.
When they see me in person sometimes. They're like, oh. Like, yeah, I'm not a small human. You just see me on camera next to Logan Paulson, who's 6'5", 280. It's not fair to me. We would do segments during the Take Command pregame show where I would stand up. Or we would both stand up. We just got tired of sitting in chairs. Those are not my favorite segments from a visual presentation standpoint. Like this, I shouldn't look like not whatever.
Yeah.
Mentality-wise, though, yeah, I'm about that life.
Okay.
Are you?
Yes.
Okay.
Very much so.
Required
Yes.
to be on this show. Dave Johnson, he's about that life, about that Wizards broadcast life. Been the voice of the team, obviously, for over 25 years. Seen a lot of wacky basketball. How wacky was last night where the undermanned Wizards beat Giannis and the Bucks. And now they got LeBron and company in town tonight. And it's Kyle Kuzma coming back for the Wizards. All the latest news from Dave in the broadcast booth next.
This is the Hoffman Show on the Team 980 and the Odyssey app.